young, pretty woman marries a much older, wealthy man. Soon, more than $1 million goes missing. She ended up pleading guilty and then was deported.
Now, hold on one second. This is noteworthy. This is my new noteworthy notebook. I'm going to show it to y'all because I like my notebook. Okay, this is another news article that has catched my mind. I think I'm going to retitle it, High Value Man Gets Finessed Out of Millions by Hypergamous Wife and Her Psychic. That's a long title. Let's continue to listen. So, pretty woman, whatever she said, we're going to listen clearly though.
Surface that sums up the story of Lin Halfon, but dig a little bit deeper and you're going to learn more about the mysterious reasons why she says she stole and why someone else could still eventually be charged. Fox 13's Gloria Gomez begins a new series called Tampa Bay True Crime Files, and tonight she examines the case of Lin Halfon.
This young girl was not the scheming, horrific solo actor in this case.
Do you swear or affirm testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Swear.
There is always a danger in rushing to judgment, and what may appear to be isn't always what occurred.
Tell me your name and date of birth.
What appeared to be is not always what occurred. There's danger to rushing to judgment. Unfortunately, that doesn't always get meted out to everybody. There is a danger to rushing to judgment, but it's not applicable oftentimes across the board. The intro to this is pretty young woman, you know what I mean? But we're going to keep listening. So basically, let them tell us.
Please.
In Lin Halfon, September 15, 93.
Lin Halfon spent 13 months in jail for stealing $1 million from her wealthy husband, Tampa businessman Richard Rappaport. In January, she took a plea deal.
How do you plead today?
Guilty.
The flashy headlines called her a gold digger. Rappaport was 50 years older than Halfon when the two secretly tied the knot. But what no one knew was that their marriage was a bit crowded. Someone else was sharing their wedding bliss.
There are a lot of tricky people out there that will go to any means to separate individuals from their money.
Halfon's attorney, Ted Foster, says his client was under the spell of a psychic.
She was manipulated to believe that if she didn't provide all this money, that very terrible things would happen to her and her family.
Prosecutors say this.
I'm sorry, y'all. I'm trying to write. This is noteworthy. I'm trying to write while they're talking. Some of the headlines call her a gold digger. He was 50 years older. I guess he had options. They secretly wed. But how did the psychic come in? Like, who opened the door for the psychic to be doing their thing? Did you initially go? Lynn, did you go to the psychic? Like, how did the psychic get in your marriage to be, have you under their auspices? Oh, no. My thing ran away.
Scare tactics started almost immediately.
Psychic, who could ward off evil spirits and negative energy in exchange for cash payments.
The psychic pushed Halfon to find a rich soulmate, which she would find both in Rappaport. After they married, the cash and jewelry followed.
So that means she was already going to the psychic before she met Rappaport. Yeah? Interesting. I'm trying to write here. Go ahead.
Ms. Halfon used this money to pay the psychic for the work that the psychic was performing for Ms. Halfon.
But that wasn't enough. The psychic wanted more. Halfon began making up stories to get more money from Rappaport. She told him her mother had cancer.
Wow.
And her father was in debt.
Wow.
And they needed his help. Rappaport kept cutting checks.
Over a period of months, Ms. Halfon paid increasingly amounts of money to this psychic for the work that she performed.
But the biggest check came months later when Halfon asked for $1 million cash to buy an apartment. Rappaport handed her $1 million cashier's check, which she took to Amscott, but employees there refused to cash it. She split the money into 3 checks, but that made Rappaport uncomfortable, and he wanted the checks back.
Instead, Ms. Halfon provided...
How did she split the money into 3 checks? He gives a cashier's check. How does she takes the check? Where does she split the money? What bank is she using? Is she using, how did she split the money? How did he become concerned Was he aware that she split it into three checks? Like, there's some missing pieces, but we're going to keep listening.
3 checks along with her identification information and that of the victim to the psychic in order for the psychic and a third individual to cash the 3 checks at a check cashing store in New Jersey.
By then, the gig was up. Halfon was arrested at the Tampa airport when she returned.
So hold up. The psychic couldn't see that this was a bad deal? The psychic couldn't see that the gig was going to be up? You know what?
From New Jersey.
Yes, Your Honor.
Halfon was duped by a psychic and left holding the bag. She pleaded guilty to exploitation of the elderly and organized fraud. She agreed to time served and was deported back to Israel. The psychic has never been charged and is still free for now. Do you believe Lin might come back to testify against the psychic?
I believe that Lin will come back to testify against anybody that the state wants her to testify against.
Gloria Gomez, Fox 13 News.
Now, that investigation remains active tonight, and we are told more arrests could be coming soon.
Now, you know what? I like covering stories that are interesting to me. And this was interesting, especially around the high value man, hypergamous woman conversation. But I just have questions on another note about the psychic. They're using words like duped, tricked, and all of these things, but of her own volition. It appears that before she met Mr. Rappaport, Lin was already availing herself to the services of the psychic. So then, at what part did the duping come in? I don't know. Y'all let me know in the comment section below. I need to know, why isn't the psychic charged? What record does she have? Was they psychic sessions on record, on tape, on voicemail? Like, what evidence does she have that the psychic told her these things? Why didn't they investigate or charge the psychic with anything? What did she use to break the 3 checks, the $1 million check in half? What service did she use? Who, if somebody wouldn't cash it, who would break it? Mr. Rappaport, why did you marry her secretly? I got more questions and answers on this noteworthy. It's just one of those things to make you go, And then she serves these 13 months and then she gets deported. And they saying she would come and testify against anybody. I don't know. The story ain't adding up. Maybe there's more. If you have learned more about this story and you would like to answer some of these questions in the comment section below, feel free to do so. My name is Lina. This has been Noteworthy, and I had more questions and answers in this one, y'all. React with a purpose. With that said, do not go to the psychic asking to marry no millionaire man and then embezzle his money and break it into 3 checks and get arrested. I guess that's the moral of the story for me. Don't finesse people out of their money, especially if they're elders. And don't go to the psychic. With that said, thank everybody for tuning in. We'll be back once again with another.